Hey guys, it's Kevin again, and in this video I'm going to be reviewing The Blacklist Season 1, Episode 5, The Courier. I definitely really enjoyed this episode. It wasn't as good as last week's, but I still really enjoyed it, and definitely the ending was very intense, and of course what I love is that they're expanding the storylines. Like it used to be the first 5 minutes, it's getting longer and longer each episode, and they're really expanding the storylines of, who is Tom and who is Red and all that stuff, and that's really cool. So, we start at the episode where we see Liz. She's in bed and with Tom, and he's kissing her, but she doesn't seem interested. And he asks her basically what's going on, and she basically says, "What do you know about the hotel, Nation Station Hotel?" And she asks him if he knows anything about the man who was killed at the hotel, and he suddenly freaks out and demands to know what she knows, and he begins choking her, and she wakes up, and it turns out it was all just a dream. In reality, he's actually talking to her about going to see an ultrasound today from a woman who is letting them adopt a baby. And then we see, though, that there are these cameras that have been secretly placed around Liz and Tom's house, and we see that the man in the apple is still watching them. The man with the apple is still watching them on surveillance, so we still have that whole thing going on. Then we see our killer of the, basically the killer on the blacklist of the week, and we see that there's this guy named Seth who has been tied up by a man. And the man in the mask is videotaping Seth, and he leaves a knife nearby. Seth grabs a knife, stabs the creepy masked man in the chest. He is unaffected by it, which is weird. And he buries Seth. And they're trying to figure out, well, how is this happening to him? And they want to talk to him, basically. And we see that then he takes this knife and he puts a memory disc inside his chest right there. Eventually they're talking to him, and they basically find out that he has this rare disease, this rare condition that makes him not feel any pain at all. Like, basically, if he gets killed, he doesn't feel any pain at all, and that'd be awesome, really. If I had a condition like that where I didn't feel any pain at all, and anything could happen to me, that'd be awesome. Literally, he had a bone sticking out of his arm, he popped it, and he didn't feel anything at all. And that was just, really weird. I don't know if that's possible, but yeah. So then we find out that Seth is actually one of the top analysts at the Natal security agency, and he has information that will be extremely dangerous if it got into Iranian hands. And Red won't tell Liz anything until she tells him what she has found out about Tom and the murder at the Angel Station. And there's a lot going on with that still. And she thinks a Russian tourist named Victor was killed at the hotel when she and Tom were visiting there a few years ago. Red tells her that there was a drug dealer who has dealt with the courier in the past, and that man helps them find the courier's safe house. And at the safe house, they find pictures of the dead Iranian agent. And they also, and while this is all going on, the FBI performs an ultrasound to see what other objects might be inside the courier's body. They find a key, another microchip, and 2 more identified objects. So this is really weird. He basically places stuff inside of his body. It's really weird, guys. I found it to be very strange. But while this is all going on and everything, all of a sudden Tom calls Liz in the middle of, this whole, in the middle of the case. And he says I need you to come home right away. It's really important. She says she can't leave now, but they will talk later. And she basically thinks about the adoption, but we see that he has the fake passports, the money, and the gun that has been removed from his hiding place under the floor. So basically he wants to talk to her about that. There's something very urgent he wants to talk to her about. And that's how that commercial ended. And I was like, what? What's going to happen next? And then we see that Agent Ressler is pretending to be the courier. And we saw before that he actually was arguing with Liz about all this. But anyways, eventually she ends up, that he didn't think that she was actually good for the job and didn't really understand why she was in the job. But, yeah, so that was going on. But then we see that Liz suggests making a deal with the courier and offers to let Samuel go from prison early. Eventually, they do get the courier and everything. And, there's a flat, then they have to find Seth, and Liz and Red use maps and the info they learned from the French woman to figure out where Seth is. They get to him, but he is not breathing. Liz performs CPR, and Seth comes back to life. And how can I repay you? Seth says, and he says, I'm sure we'll think of something, and Red says, and then Seth says, and basically then we see who knows Seth could someday provide him with valuable info. Liz is disgusted. But then Ressler eventually does talk to Red, and he basically says, you know what, Liz is actually a good person for the case, and he does accept that she is actually, has a lot of valuable information, is actually really good at what she does, because she is fantastic at what she does. She is great. So, that I really enjoyed that plot. I definitely thought it's something interesting that we haven't really seen before. Then we get to the biggest part of the episode. This is where everything it was like, wow, this was amazing. This package is delivered to Liz from Red. It is the unredacted version of the Angel Station Hotel case file, and the man who was killed was named Victor Falcon. He was supposedly ready to defect to the U.S., but a suspected U.S. double agent is believed to have killed him. The file contains a picture of an unidentified white male suspect. Liz recognizes it to be Tom, and we find that Red used his connection with Tess to get the file from Liz. To get the file for Liz, I mean. And then we get to the biggest part of the episode. Liz finally heads home. Tom's been waiting for her. We see surveillance guys watching everything. They're basically watching everything. We don't know what's about to go on with them. And Liz finally heads home, and he says, I was just going to say the same thing to you. He replies, and then he pulls out the box containing the money, the passports, and the guns. And then the episode is over. And that was amazing, guys. I thought that was a great way to end the episode. I absolutely love this episode. I thought it was a fantastic episode. These episodes are getting better and better as they go on. It looks like next week they're going to expand the story of the whole Blacklist scenario. It's going to be very, very cool to see what else is going to happen with this. I cannot wait to see what else they're going to do with this. It's going to be fantastic. I cannot wait. Alright, so that's basically it for my review of the episode. Let me know what you guys saw of the episode. What